Adam Schefter just sent Philadelphia into a frenzy. Following his report yesterday, the Eagles are preparing to make some trades. But how in the world did Tyreek Hill's name actually end up being a rumored option? Plus, a new draft meeting that will make Vic Fangio very happy. Simmons drops another big hint about joining forces in Philly, maybe after the draft. And why another insider thinks Dallas Goedert's days are numbered. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. You really know the NFL draft is just a couple of weeks away when wild NFL rumors start absolutely flying, which is actually what happened with the Philadelphia Eagles and really Adam Schefter just yesterday. First though, I'm announcing my next big giveaway happening sometime during the NFL draft, and it's this full-size Eagles helmet signed by Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, and Quinyon Mitchell. Obviously, all because I'm approaching 100,000 subs, so to enter, hit the like button and be subscribed because, again, it's happening at the end of the month. And remember, apparently 48% of y'all who actually watch my videos on a regular basis aren't subscribed, so right now, if you're not subscribed, you're not entered. Also, the new towel winner is announced at the end of today's video, so stay tuned at the end to find out if you won. Now, if you were on Twitter yesterday or read any of the Eagles news websites, you definitely saw the headline of Adam Schefter guarantees Eagles will make a trade, which obviously does sound like big news. I mean, come on, Eagles making a trade? Adam, for who? When? How much? Well, Schefter wasn't lying. He's definitely not wrong. The Eagles are going to make a trade very soon. But when you actually watch the clip from Schefter's podcast where this all comes from, the headlines seem a little bit bloviated.
Because I will guarantee you right now, we're going to get a trade or two out of the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know for who. I don't know for what. I don't know when it'll happen. But they ain't going to make 20 picks in the next two drafts. That ain't happening, okay? So the question is how they're going to allocate their draft resources, how they're going to move around, who they're going to add, but they will be moving and shaking as they usually do in Philadelphia.
Guaranteeing the Eagles will make a trade or two trades during the NFL draft is probably the most insane take I've seen all offseason long. It's like saying the sun is guaranteed to rise tomorrow. It's 100% going to happen, and everyone in the NFL 100% knows it. And if you don't believe me, how about a little context? For instance, the Eagles made 7 trades during the 2023 NFL draft. The first of which was one spot up from 10 to 9 to get Jalen Carter. Next, they swapped picks with the Texans to get Tyler Steen in round 3, and then traded again with Houston to secure Keely Ringo. Plus, they also went outside of the draft and gave away draft picks for DeAndre Swift. Fast forward 1 year later, and Philadelphia won up their 7-trade 2023 draft with an 8-trade draft weekend in 2024. With trades moving up in round 2 for, obviously, superstars like Cooper DeJean, and then moving back in round 3 for Jalen Hunt. So, yeah, Adam Schefter is definitely right. He's not wrong. Philadelphia is going to make a lot of trades during the NFL draft, probably more than 1 or 2. I'll even put my professional opinion on the line and say it's going to be north of 5. Now, of course, I do technically get what Adam Schefter was going at here. Philadelphia right now has 20-plus picks in the next 2 drafts. They obviously will not be taking 20-plus new players in 2 years, so I think a better prediction from Schefter would have been saying the Eagles are going to trade up at some point in this year's draft versus trading down to get even more picks because obviously they don't want to take 24 or 25 new players. Either way, simple solution for Eagles draft day, expect a lot of chaos. Now, staying with the chaos theme, Schefter's statement yesterday about trades created even more chaos on Twitter because his statements lined up perfectly with Tyreek Hill's social media post about the Dolphins wide receiver wanting a trade out of Miami. Pair Schefter's trade statement with Tyreek Hill's social media post and other reports out of Miami saying the Dolphins are fed up with Tyreek Hill and his antics, and you get rumor mill tweets like these saying the Eagles have been linked to a possible Tyreek Hill trade. And then I have to step in, as it's now my job during the NFL offseason to try and bring you guys back down to earth here. Philadelphia is 100% not trading for Tyreek Hill. First off, how about the projected cost to trade for a 31-year-old Tyreek Hill? Right here, it's a second rounder and a third rounder. That alone is an insane asking price. Not to mention his $27 million guaranteed contract in 2025, and it's another example of this being absolutely ridiculous. Not convinced yet? Well, throw in the fact the Eagles already have a ton of mouths to feed on the outside, with clearly the best wide receiver duo in the National Football League, and the Cheetah's flight to Philadelphia has already been grounded before takeoff. But of course, if Tyreek Hill's age and his contract and the draft pick price to go ahead and trade for him was not enough to convince you the Eagles are not going to do this, do we all forget that just a couple of weeks ago, Howie Roseman told us exactly how he feels about players like Tyreek Hill, as shown here by Roseman's statements on Tom McShay's YouTube channel, where he said he does not even watch the film of players who have been convicted of DV.
So, for us, we have some objective things that I can't even overrule, and they're ours, but, for one, like, violence against women. Like, it's just not for us, right. That doesn't mean, so it's like, I won't even watch them. I don't even want to talk about it. It just is deal breakers for us. So I can't go, but he's really good and he did it 10 years ago and he learned from it. It just doesn't work for us.
Now, as you know, Tyreek Hill has a long list of bump-ins with the law, including an alleged DV conviction during his college days, which got him cut from Oklahoma State. And that, to me, puts a massive nail in the coffin here if the Eagles, once again, for the ninth time today, are not trading for Tyreek Hill. Also, if you immediately argue, Thomas, Howie went after Jalen Carter after his run-ins with the law at UGA, well, Carter was not convicted of DV, not saying what went down is nothing, but the comparison doesn't really match. Plus, after what the Birds just did in dumping C.J. Gardner-Johnson for what I was personally told had more to do with locker room issues and less with cap space, adding a noted loud locker room voice in Hill just doesn't fit the team's current mold. Although I do think the basic question around possibly trading for Tyreek Hill is a valid one, because if you're asking about a Tyreek Hill trade, you're focusing in on the wide receiver 3 position, which right now, as you look at the roster, is still a big question mark. Because yesterday, NBC's Ruben Frank noted that listening to Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni at the owners' meetings, it sure sounds like Dallas Goedert is already gone. When coaches and GMs start using the past tense to talk about players, it's never a good sign. Of course, Goedert is a tight end, but was the number 3 pass catcher on the Birds in 2024. And while we can keep debating trading Dallas Goedert or keeping Dallas Goedert, obviously I'm on team keep him, but let's say Goedert is also gone. Philadelphia's receiving options behind A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are less than ideal. I think in a perfect world, DeJean Dotson is going to be that guy. He did show some flashes, especially in the playoffs, and obviously had that big catch early in the Super Bowl. But besides those few targets, he was virtually a non-factor all season long. And that's whether or not you want to argue he wasn't open or the Hurts didn't throw his way enough. But if Dotson can actually step up and be that number 3 guy in 2025, Philadelphia's passing attack is going to take another huge leap forward. But if you don't think DeJean Dotson can be that guy, then honestly, ask yourself right now, who's really left? I guess a rookie tight end, if that's where the Eagles are leaning in a post-Goddard world, or maybe Johnny Wilson, Smith, possibly Avery Williams. You get my point. Philadelphia's receiving core, again, behind its superstar duo, is less than ideal. Still, even I have to admit that if you're being worried about your number 3 receiver, that's a pretty good position to be in. It means you're loaded in front of him, but still, it's a legit question nonetheless. Now, switching gears back to the NFL draft, and yesterday, I went on this whole rant about how Philadelphia's top 30 visits have very few first-round talent. They're really looking at day 2 and day 3 people so far with their visits to Philadelphia. Well, right on cue, apparently they watched my video and they finally brought in, I think, their second overall potential first-round draft pick just yesterday. And that someone was South Carolina's defensive tackle, TJ Sanders, who, okay, technically is the 38th ranked prospect by PFF in this draft and is the 5th or 4th ranked defensive tackle, depending on who you talk to, but a lot of mock drafts have him going somewhere in round 1. Sanders' visit right now, according to my calculation, is now the 3rd defensive tackle Philadelphia's met with so far, meaning their total list of position groups the Birds have met with is, offensive line, edge rusher, defensive tackle, cornerback, and running back, which means we're definitely still waiting on one of those safeties. Of course, now that I'm talking about safeties, I cannot help but play you this brand new clip of every Eagle fan's favorite free agent safety, Justin Simmons, on Kay Adams' show this morning, perfect timing, giving what seems like yet another very strong pitch to try to play for Fangio in Philly this year.
Yeah, it really does. Like, as honest as I can be, like, I'm a lot of it too, going back to your question earlier about Atlanta, like there was a lot of new, right? There's a new system. There's a new way to do it. Like going to Philly with Vic, you know exactly what you're getting out of me, and I know exactly what I'm getting out of them because I've been in the system. I still have a ways to go to mastering it, but there's some things and nuances that I know that Vic likes, that I know that Christian Parker likes, and I think I could really help in that area. Obviously, them moving on from CJ and what he's poured into that city there is big shoes to fill, but I love what they have going on with Blankenship and the rest of the supporting cast there. And so, I don't know. It's interesting. I'm excited to see what happens.
What if Simmons is the actual reason Philly has not had Starks or Emenwari for a visit? And perhaps after the draft, Simmons will get the ring to come to Philadelphia and start at safety. Hard to say, but his comments and no first-round safety visits so far is at least noteworthy. Although I do wonder if the lack of first-round safety visits so far is because Howie Roseman knows they're not going to make it close to 32, as Mel Kiper just dropped his latest 2-round mock draft and gave Nick Emenwari to Tampa at 19 and the Eagles' favorite Malachi Starks to the Ravens at 27. For Philadelphia, he is the Super Bowl champ selecting Tennessee edge rusher James Pierce Jr. at 32 overall as a clear replacement for Josh Sweat. And honestly, I would love this pick because past 2 seasons in Tennessee, Pierce has had 17.5 sacks and ranked 2nd in the entire nation in pressure rate at 19% last year. Still though, Kiper does have Philadelphia getting their safety competition for Sidney Brown at least late in round 2, with Penn State's Kevin Winston Jr. going to the Birds. Now, Winston Jr. only played 2 games last year after suffering a knee injury. Not the best look, but he would likely have been a first rounder without the injury. Still, though, I would question Roseman's pick here because knee injury is not something he likes to do with his early draft picks. Although just today, we did get confirmation that Jalen Reed is going to become the first official safety to schedule a visit, a top 30 visit, the North Care Complex in the coming days. So maybe Mel Kiper is actually onto something here. To me, round 2 is where Philadelphia is going to go ahead and trade up. If I had to go ahead and guess, because obviously Adam Schefter earlier already guaranteed the Eagles are going to make a trade, but I said it's going to be a trade up. And so instead of going from like 64 and just staying put at the final pick in round 2, I could see them kind of pulling a Cooper DeJean, what they did last year, and go from 64, use some of those 20-plus draft picks the next 2 seasons and get to, I don't know, 45, 48, early 50s. That, to me, if we're talking about trading up in the NFL draft, is where the Eagles could go, especially if they love one particular player, like they did Cooper DeJean, going into this draft. Oh, and speaking of DeJean, he dropped a fresh workout video just yesterday showcasing some strength training here in the gym. Now, obviously, he doesn't need to add on any more size, but anything else would just be a bonus on top of his already perfect frame. I do think, though, the unspoken part of the 2025 Eagles is the potential around young guys like DeJean. I mean, Coop was already perhaps the best nickel cornerback, maybe in the entire league last year. What happens if he gets, say, 10% better? Likewise, what if Q goes from a solid starter on the outside to a true shutdown #1 cornerback in the league and, say, the mold of Patrick Surtain? Throw in other names like Jalix Hunt coming into his own, or Nolan Smith being a double-digit sack guy, or how about Moro Ojomo, friend of the channel, continuing his upward trajectory to being a rotational starter on the defensive line? All in all, we have a long offseason to go, a long training camp to go. Obviously, you're going to get a ton of new draft picks as well, but this already young defense could look potentially way better depending on where these young stars actually grow into, one season after already winning a Super Bowl. Love what I'm seeing. Now, as mentioned, I'm going to give away the towel right now because I was trying to give this away on a previous video and I never heard back from the winner. That's why you should watch videos whenever I'm giving these things away, but I digress. And so the official Super Bowl towel winner was Jackson Jones 6628. Jackson, you were randomly selected. Go down below in the comment section, or I guess the description box. My email's there, all the details. Shoot me an email, prove it's you, and I'll get this sent out. You have until the end of the week. If not, then I guess I will redraw again. Someone's going to win this thing. Either way, if you didn't win, watch out for scammers because I only announce the winners on my show, and if you get a little message saying you won, obviously it's fake, and so report it. Still, plenty more stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks. Get in on the signed helmet giveaway. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Thomas Mott, this has been the Thomas Mott Show.